Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in this video today I'm going to be showing you how to decorate one cake on top of the other, and I'm going to be giving you 5 tips that can make this easy for you. I used to be one of those cake decorators that I can decorate a buttercream cake and I can have them to be 2-3 tiers, but I'm going to do them separately and then put them on one another, which can be really time consuming. Because why not decorate it in one go if you can? And I see a lot of cake decorators do this on Instagram, and I was wondering, okay, how can I do this? So I recently started doing this with dummy cake. So if you're going to be using a real cake, I'm going to be giving you 5 tips on how to do this yourself and do this, and it will be really nice. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your cakes are cold. Usually I'll advise you leave it in the fridge or in the freezer overnight. If it's in the fridge overnight, in the freezer just a couple of hours, and that way it will be really firm. And then you're going to stack the first one and then dowel and then stack the second one and put it on each other. So once you have your cakes on one another like this, the next thing you want to do is the number 2 is make sure your buttercream is not as thick as usual, because remember your cakes are cold. So now that you're putting your buttercream, immediately the butter touches the cake, it becomes a lot cooler. So number 3 that you want to do would be to first cover everything in buttercream, everything from the top to the bottom. Just make sure every part of the cake is covered, no part is peeping out. Cover every single thing in buttercream. And if you're one of those cake decorators, or if you're one of those people that like to do a crumb coat first, that's okay. But I don't really like to do a crumb coat first. I just like to just get it over with, basically. I know it's the lazy person's method, but okay. So you want to cover everything with buttercream, and then you want to scrape off and then make sure every part is covered with buttercream. So number 3 is you want to make sure you start from the top. So towards when you're smoothing your cake, you want to make sure you start from the top of the cake. That's because it's easy to have the top be perfect and then do the bottom, but it's impossible to have the bottom be perfect and then try to do the top. Now it will mess with the top. So once all of your cake is covered, you want to put it in the fridge for a little over maybe a few hours, and in the freezer for maybe a couple of minutes, just to have it firm up. So when you come back, you want to make sure your buttercream, this is number 4, you want to make sure your buttercream is really soft. It's softer than usual. That's because when you start with really soft buttercream on really cold cake, it makes it a lot easier for you to smoothen and just to apply on the cake and everything. So if you notice now, I'm using my top first rule. So you want to start from the top. Make sure the top part of your cake is perfect before you go to the bottom. That way it will make your life a lot easier. I kind of taught myself how to do this myself. So what I noticed is if you do the top first, then do the sides of the top, kind of like what I'm doing here, like the sides of the top part of the cake. I don't know if I'm speaking the right English, but just look at what I'm doing. Yeah, so cover that as much as possible and make sure no part of the cake is peeping through, and then we are going to do the bottom. So now that we have enough buttercream around the cake, we are just going to try to smoothen. So we're going to scrape off and make sure your hand is stable. Scrape off as much as you can, and then that way you'll be able to see where the spaces are where you can feel. So right now I'm just trying to feel my cake and make it as perfect as possible. But when it comes to smoothing and like the final perfection, you want to do the top first, because that will make your life a lot easier. Okay, so you want to just apply and scrape, apply and scrape, apply and scrape for the top and the bottom until your cake is perfect. And so when it is perfect or almost perfect, yeah, kind of at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to scrape it until there is some overhanging buttercream on top of both the top tier and the bottom tier. Notice now I'm doing the top tier, and like as I'm scraping, some buttercream is overhanging on top of the top tier. Yes, that's exactly what you want, because that way we're going to cut it off with a warm knife once the cake is cold. Okay, so what we want to do next is to scrape the bottom and make sure it's overhanging just like the top. Yeah. Okay, so the last and final step, once it's overhanging, notice as I'm scraping it's becoming like the buttercream is overhanging on top again for both the top and the bottom. That's exactly what you want. So once you have done that, we're going to pop it in the fridge. I was supposed to show this on camera, but I kind of lost part of that footage. So we're just going to pop it in the fridge, and then when it is firm, we're going to cut the top with a knife, and that way when we come back our cake will be smooth, because we're going to cut the overhanging top with a knife and every part of it will be smoothened to have sharp edges. And it's going to be really perfect. Anyways, this is what this cake became at the end of the day, and it was so pretty. I think it is really gorgeous. This is what cakes used to look like in those days, and it is really, really pretty. If you want to see how I did this pipings, you can check the video I made about how to make, old school cakes. You can just search in my channel and you'll find it. Thank you for always watching my videos, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye. No, I think it is absolutely gorgeous.